Just Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience and for waiting for us. You know, when you think you've got your act together, then technology shows you flames. We had internet connection problems for a bit, but we're back on now. Everybody's on standby. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We look forward to engaging you. I look forward to engaging the guests that we have tonight, and also looking so forward to hearing from you, seeing your comments and your contribution to this discussion. So my name is Happy Ngidi. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Proudly South African. It gives me great pleasure to be with you on this platform this evening. So we're live on YouTube as well as Facebook. And today we're talking everything local. We're talking about entrepreneurship. We're talking about the challenges that local entrepreneurs face, particularly during this time, during these unprecedented times, and just challenges with entrepreneurship under normal circumstances. But we all know that there's nothing normal about this time in particular during this pandemic that we've gone through or are going through as a country and as the world. And, nobody said it was going to be a walk in the park. But and there's no manual. There's no manual that said when the pandemic starts, this is what you need to do to navigate your way around it, to stay afloat as a business. Whatever the case may be, there was no manual. We all had to do what we all had to do, and it is the basis of the conversation that we're having this evening, and it gives us great pleasure at Proudly South African to be able to engage and chat to two of our member companies, from Khona Dladla and from Malay Beauty, and this conversation tonight is the purpose of the conversation is also just really to help anybody, whether you're a member of the campaign or not. The fundamental issue is that you are a South African who may have a business, or you may be thinking of having a business, but even outside of that, you're a consumer, and all of us are consumers. It's about how we're going to contribute positively to reigniting our economy. We all know that our economy was in trouble before COVID-19, and COVID-19 was really just a final nail, on the coffin. And, so we're talking about that. We're talking about many, many things. And just to remind South Africans that we all have a responsibility to make a difference that we want to see, and that it takes everybody, every single South African who's in a position to do something, to act on it, and it ceases to be somebody else's responsibility. So please, join me as I welcome our guests today, and I'm going to be very, I'm going to accommodate ladies first. Sorry, Khomoto, but we are very fond of you as well. Her name is Zizi, and she is from Malay Beauty, and she is the founder member, the owner, the business mind and business brain behind Malay Beauty. She is everything. She tells me she's the lady that makes coffee and teas in her office. She tells me she scrubs the floors. She tells me she fixes the windows if she has to. She's the accountant. She's the marketing person. She's the salesperson. She's the spokesperson. She's the CFO. She's the CEO. She's a head of marketing. She is everything. Okay. Hello, Zizi.
Hi, thank you for having me. Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome. I hope I did justice to that introduction, right? You are all of
Oh
that.
God,
You
I
are
think you
that.
did that. You did that and more. You did that and more. I think I'm all departments in one. Yes.
Yes, exactly. You're all departments in one. And because we are gifted with being able to multitask,
Mm,
I'm sure it's not easy, but it's
no.
doable. Here you are with an
Yeah.
amazing brand that you look
Thank
after.
you. Thank you.
All right, and our second guest tonight is Komodo, and Komodo is representing Kona Dada. They in the food space, so to speak, very popular. Also a member of the campaign, has been with us for a few years, and one of those companies that have really enjoyed the access to market opportunities that we've made available as proudly South African. Hello, Komodo. Um, we don't.
Hello,
Ah, there we go. There we go. We can hear you now.
can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay. How you doing?
we good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Just please excuse the aspect ratio. Technology.
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 I was saying when when I was opening earlier, just when you think you've got everything in order, and then technology humbles you.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Uh,
certainly.
yeah,
It's part of everyday life, challenges
absolutely.
that just come up. So just have to remain resilient and just
Yeah,
hold fast on
yeah, yeah. And am I correct to say that you also boss zonge at Kona?
it. Yes, I am. I play all roles.
You play all roles. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, listen, colleagues, I'll tell you this. I have the utmost respect for your hustles because as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, you cannot afford to have an 8 hour sleep. You don't. It does not exist. And you sleep with one eye closed and one eye open because your mind is always thinking about when you get up in the morning, how you're going to close the deal, how you're going to sell the product, how you're going to do in that meeting that you have set up. Correct?
Very, very true. Very true. No truer words said.
No, it's yeah, completely true. I think as an entrepreneur, you always just need to be wired for opportunity as well. Particularly in these current difficult times. Your mind is always playing mental gymnastics. So I think it's important, and it keeps you on your feet.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because you're alluding to what we pride ourselves in as proudly South African. Because one of the things that we do pretty well is to identify and access to market opportunities for companies such as yours who are affiliated and associated with proudly South African. Because we're of the view that it's one thing for you guys to have these amazing brands, but if you don't have an access to market opportunity, it defeats the purpose. So with that said, will you just briefly introduce your business to our audience before we continue with our discussion?
Okay, so I'm Zezoria Kisao. I'm the founder of Malay Natural Science. I started the business in 2009 at a time which I would say was a different kind of stress on the economy, on life as we knew it. It was at the height of the recession. I was able to create a business that not only showcased the natural resources and connected the scents, the smells, the sights, and bottled it for people who wanted to safari into Africa, which is what we see a lot, especially in South Africa with the hospitality industry. But I found that there was nothing local that was punching into the luxury space, especially when it came into the cosmetics industry. And I wanted to be able to, one, prove that local is lekker, and two, that the world does have space for African luxury brands to coexist alongside, we all know and love, and that support in the early days just has been invaluable, and being able to tap into an industry that is growing on the South African market, that is creating opportunities with jobs, creating an ecosystem that allows us to even do more beyond just the products we make. So we support an amazing charity called Ripple Reading, and they go into schools in underprivileged communities, so ex-farming communities, and they set up additional tutoring for students who otherwise the education system would fail them. And as a result, those children go on to win bursaries and scholarships into private schools. They help mentor them through the huge social change they encounter in having such a huge responsibility now of being able to take your family out of your situation. So I think Malay for me was, I guess when I first started, it was initially a very selfish and personal endeavor, where I wanted to prove a point that someone like me can create something of quality that is not only just proudly South African, but can sit alongside the shelves of any other luxury brand out there, especially in the beauty space. A few years in, I realized that we were doing even more work with, actually, there's a responsibility in being a woman of like me with the brand that I had, and having the doors open in the way that they did, that I needed to do more. We needed to create and invest in the next generation of, and I'm proud of the work that we've been doing. And COVID, the pandemic, like any other challenge in business, and I'm sure Komodo would echo this, as founders of businesses, whenever you are thrust with a challenge, whether that's a competitor or whether that's a goal that you're trying to achieve, as a team, you have to double down, you reinvest in your business, you look for innovative ways. I started Malay off of my bed. I moved from my bed to my dining table, from my dining table to a small office in Johannesburg, next to 44 Stanley in the old turbine buildings. Then I moved from there into a retail store in Hyde Park in Johannesburg, taking it from there into hotels. So we supply some of the top 5-star hotels in sub-Saharan Africa. And most recently have grown into the UK market, grown into Denmark, and more markets to come. So we're retailed in places like Harvey Nichols. You can find us on Amazon, and Look Fantastic, Beauty Expert, Hot Group. And I think the one thing I'm hoping that this live session will do, or I'm hoping to do, is hopefully answer any questions for anyone who, wants to figure out or even understand how you can follow your dreams, but also do more in the process.
What a beautiful story. And we all have a story to tell, and you all is really one of those that just give so much perspective and so much hope for anybody who may be thinking of starting a business, but they're thinking, maybe this thing is not for me, or somebody who might be struggling and to stay afloat, and they thinking, I might as well throw in the towel. But with that said, what does Malay mean?
So Malay is a term of endearment. So it's borrowed from Bini people in Edo State of Nigeria, and it means a gracious, learned woman. Our logo is actually an Adinkra symbol from Ghana. So I tried with the brand to not only tell I try to tell as much of the heritage of Africa within the brands, but within the name, the packaging, the design, by borrowing, I guess, a lot of different African cultures, because I think most people think of South Africa and in their minds, it's not tangible. You know, for a lot of people, South Africa is not tangible because it's too far, it's too expensive. And by and large, the tourists that we see come in are people of means. These are people who have a lot of means that can go in and encounter, and even locally traveling within South Africa, you can find that sometimes in season, for instance, there's not much access. And the beauty about, I guess, the beauty industry or scent or fragrance is that you can capture moments, you can evoke people with scent, you can create some really strong memories around, you know, your olfactory, which is, you know, your sight, sense, and smell. But, you know, and I wanted for people to have it in a jar. I wanted them to experience, you know, 5 a.m. before you go out on a safari drive. While the sun's just rising, you can still almost taste the dew in the air, and the earth is still moist. And one of our fragrances is called Verdure, which is inspired by the Latin word called verdura, which means green vegetation. And these are things that we perhaps take for granted as people of the land. But these are beautiful memories that we all hold dear. What it feels like to go home and wake up in the morning, you know, break of dawn before everybody's up.
Zizi, the passion is palpable.
Thank you.
And if I don't come in here, we're going to forget about Komodo, but it's amazing because nobody can tell your story better than you. And you're doing an incredible job. Komodo, please can you have Komodo back on screen? But Komodo, please can you also briefly tell us about your business, you know, your brand? Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Beautiful story, Lizzie. So basically, by qualification and profession, I suppose, I qualified as an audio engineer. So I'm from a media production space. So I've got another business which provides technical solutions and entertainment solutions for corporate. So it happened that around 2009, I was at the time living with my brother in North Riding, in the northern suburbs. And there was this 24-hour pizza outlet, which I once went to, which gave you I suppose, the option to create your own pizza, you know, with your own toppings and such. So that just, it captured me somehow. And like I had said earlier, that as I suppose, a born entrepreneur, one's just always wired for opportunity. So the thought came to mind that, nah, man, in the township, Ekasi, where, you know, I reside again, we don't have this particular offering. At the time, I think it was only a few players that were in the particular industry. So I decided to, at one stage, take my friends there to, you know, show them the offering and present the idea, which they really liked. But for some reason, it just never materialized that we all venture into the business together. So few years later, the idea just kept on lingering in my mind, you know. And I was like, no, man, I should try this thing out. So I think what the stamp of approval came more when one time my nephew came to visit me when I was living here at home in Protea North in Soweto. I think it was a Friday night, and we opted to go and get takeaways. So, and it may have been month end if I recall. So driving around, we found that we didn't have as many options, and we found that in most of the available eateries that were there, it was packed to capacity. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people in the township, so we are obviously, again, like I said, limited in terms of options. So that just dampened the idea further to say, you know what, there's definitely an opportunity here for me to come up with something. So thereafter, one time in the evening, I'm sitting again here at my home. I live in a corner house. So this obviously is a colloquial meaning for konadlala is slang for house. So the one time I'm sitting with my mom and she's like, "Why else are you eating konadlala?" I'm like, "Whoa, okay, that's proper." And then I just came up with the payoff line then, which is Zwagala Sokaula, which again is quite meaningful when you take into account that as Africans, we all about sharing, you know what I mean? So I just decided to go online and teach myself, how to make this pizza. And since 2017, we launched, from pressure again. I had to wear my hat of this media production space where I had, like I said, come up with the name already. I had done the branding, produced the material, the boxes, and then I just decided one evening to record myself and create a promo as though it was two people interacting. And when I shared it with my brother, he decided to just put it online, and that now put even more pressure to actually start the business. So we launched on a very, very cold day in June of 2017. And since then, the market has really shown us so much support. And, we've just been growing from strength to strength. And furthermore, the business has diversified now into having a mobile truck, which gets to cater to corporates and showcase at events and such. So we've done really well, and we are actually in the process now of actually opening up our flagship store at one of our shopping centers. So thereafter, yeah, the sky's the limit. We're looking at growing the business into high, extreme heights.
Thanks, Komoto. I feel like both of you guys, you are taking you're handling this thing like somebody had said to you in the past. You're not gonna make it. It's not for you. And you then responded and said, "We are coming for everything."
Mm.
You know, we are coming for everything that they said we're not deserving of, which is just so wonderful to see. So thank you so much to both of you for that background. I'm going to ask our colleagues to play an ad for us, maybe a 60-second ad or 30-second ad, which then gives us a background to the next phase of our conversation, so to speak. About the access to market opportunities that you've been exposed to, about how you've navigated your way through the pandemic, how you've tried to stay afloat, what the challenges are. Have you had to retrench anybody? Did you even have to think about it? Did it cross your mind? Did you manage to not do it? And if you did, how you did that? You can learn. Yeah, fantastic. Please, can we have the ad? The game time.
The second half is about to begin. We need to change the scoreboard. It's time for all of us to pause and rethink the game plan in order to save the future. I call on all of us to be game changers because greatness isn't reserved only for some people. By buying local, we're choosing to create jobs and sustain the ones we have. Time and time again, South Africans have taken destiny into their own hands, creating products that the rest of the world wanted to buy. See, the world remembers about us what we sometimes forget. But it's time for change. Let's all buy local. It's game time. Zanzi.
Local is lekker.
Your everyday decisions shape our future.
I'm just having a look at the comments. We can't hear you, Happy. Komoto, I think the same for you, right?
I can hear him now. Yeah, I can hear her right now. It was
Okay,
I also
right. Can
couldn't
you hear
hear
me
her.
now?
Now,
Okay, great
Perfect.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Apologies, guys. So, Game Time Zanzi is our story as proudly South Africans. So, both Zizi and Komoto shared their story with us as an audience. And Game Time is our story as proudly South African, but it's a story that we want all South Africans to claim. Because it's a very emotive message that we have in that story, an emotive message that speaks to us as South Africans, irrespective of where you are in the country. It is our response to the pandemic, but it is also our response to the economy under any circumstances, whether we have the pandemic or not. And I'm sure you'll agree with me, colleagues, that we couldn't have used an amazing storyteller, our very own Wakanda, in the voice and face of Dr. John Ganya. I'm such a fan, by the way. I'm such a fan. I must put it out there. I'm a fan of his work. And so we had this concept as proudly South African. So we wrote the story ourselves, and then we got an incredible production company to give life to the story. And our campaign, it's Game Time in Mzansi, is structured around a football analogy, where when my team, Kaiser Chiefs, okay, maybe I shouldn't go there, but when two teams play,
that is.
yeah, no, maybe I shouldn't go there. But when two teams play on the soccer pitch, and one team is a goal ahead and one is a goal behind, and then they go to the changing room, and the coach goes in and says to the team, "Listen, guys, we are in this to win it. When we go back onto the pitch, we have got to come back and to win the game." And we, as proudly South Africans, thought, we're of the view, rather, that the pandemic was the half time, where the pandemic forced us as South Africans to pause and to rethink our loyalty to South African brands such as yours, and to rethink our purchasing decisions. And say to us as South Africans, during this time in particular, if you think about the fact that during lockdown, South African products carried us as South Africans. In the absence of export, South African products is what are the products that carried us. So we used Game Time and granted with that soccer analogy, that during this time, when we go back onto the pitch, which is now in our view, we're level one, and we are trying to revitalize our economy. And we are saying to South Africans, the second half is about to begin. What are you going to do as South Africans to play your part and to be the difference that you would like to see? That it's not a government responsibility. Yes, we need to hold government accountable. But as a consumer, are you then going to walk into a retail store and grab a Male beauty product as opposed to a product that has been brought into the country? And are you then going to drive past Konadlala and choose to go support, an international product? That's what Game Time is about. We're saying to South Africans, and it's very emotive. It reminds us that everybody has a responsibility to support a local product or a local service, because we all know somebody, all of us as consumers, everybody who's listening to us has known somebody who is looking for a job, even people who've given up looking for jobs. So with that said, what is your interpretation of Game Time in Mzansi? By the way, when the president did his announcement around the economy recovery plan a few days ago, his parting shot after he shared the plan with us, he said, "The time is now. Hinako." for South Africans to do something about, which speaks directly into the message that we've put out there in this commercial and the message. So what how do you process the message that we've put out there as Proudly South African in that commercial? Any one of you can go first.
I don't know, Komatsu, do you want to go, or should I wade in on this one?
Whichever. I'm happy for you to go through as well.
Okay. Komatsu, the gentleman also. See, says ladies first.
I think we are now in an age where I think everyone can agree that the old thinking of local is inferior and foreign is superior is no longer true. I think local brands are bringing it, for a lack of a better term. And I can say brands like mine, or even brands like Komoto's, and even a lot of our peers in the entrepreneurial space are putting out world-class brands and businesses that are competing on the global stage. We're now so connected with social media. We're so connected with digital online that we're seeing that actually our local brands are offering better value, if not, than historically the perception of national brands. That old thing is slowly being shelved. And especially from, I guess, my experience with Malay, the consumer, the local South African consumer, has been incredibly supportive. When we went into Hyde Park Mall in Johannesburg in 2012, we were the first local South African brand to go into the mall in the beauty space ever. It had never been done before, and that would have only been possible as a result of the support that we have had of our local customers. That support of local customers has continued to help us grow, has continued to help us create jobs, has continued to help us invest in the industry, to then be able to give back, and has seen our brand grow from, being featured to the shelves of Harvey Nichols in London. And I think there's always the perception that we are starting from the back seat, and I don't know if Komatsu will agree with this, but I don't feel like, as young entrepreneurs, and especially with our brands that are coming in from a competitive space, our competitive advantage is that actually we are very consumer centric. We are very customer focused. For Malay, our products are created and built with our climate in mind, with our skin types in mind. And it's not a formulation that has worked, in a European country that I'm now trying to give to the African consumer. The products were created as a result of my own issues, my skin issues, living in Africa. And then these are stories that we can all connect to, are stories that all connected to and unique in our own way. So the idea of the advert for me, just to sum it up, is a reinforcement in our Ubuntu spirit, in our community spirit, in the spirit that says this pandemic is here, but it's not going to beat us. We are going to find a way to survive. We're going to find a way to thrive, and we're going to find a way to continue to stay connected. As a business, we're doing that with digital, and have spent the early part of the pandemic months really just digging deeper into our historical data. Malay is now 10 years old. So we've got 10 years worth of data that we can historically dig into, look at our consumer behavior, look at exactly what the consumer wants, to go back, reinvest, pivot, at being the key word for COVID for any business owner and any marketing team or department, but really double down on the consumer, what they're wanting. How can we meet our consumer at their places of need? Because, international products are now overpriced, and are in a way being outpriced out of the market purely because the exchange rate and the economy needs some extra work, and that's only going to happen if brands like ours continue to give to the economy and continue to boost the economy.
Zizi, thank you so much. And Komoto, your interpretation of what
the ad meant to me, yeah. I think more than anything, what COVID-19, the pandemic sort of brought to all of us is that it somehow gave us a moment in time to reflect and possibly learn and then hopefully grow, you know. We managed, I'd like to think everybody within their household have had the time to just sit down and reprioritize, you know, everything around your life, you know, family and our businesses and you know, changing our models and such. I would say that what the ad really, the essence for me is that it was particularly that whole thing where Dr. Gani is just reminding our own people again to say, take care of your own first. You know what I mean? Before we can open up to the rest of the world, because only when we succeed can we then look out for the rest of the world. So it was, I think, definitely it did remind everybody out there to look within and participate within the local economy, because ultimately I think your return on investment around this ad in reminding the general public there to come through and support our businesses. Our overall mission as a business here is to ultimately change the social and economic impact within our communities. The growth of Konadladla and Zeze means that we can start creating more jobs, which, I mean, we're facing a job bloodbath currently at the moment. So our growth definitely will create a huge impact, you know. If we can start scaling the business and having more branches, it's an opportunity for each branch now to participate in whichever area it would have been and start creating jobs over there. So it was definitely a good reminder. And this, we also got to see that when people didn't have as many options out there because of the different levels of lockdown, people then looked within. I mean, our sales in when level 4, when the president opened up for level 4, our sales shot up over 500%, you know. And this again was because some of these international brands were not trading at the time. So it definitely did present a good opportunity for some of us to leverage on that and actually remind people that keep it within our communities. That way there'll be a definite ripple effect, you know what I mean? And part to that again, which I can bring up, is now collaboration. What has happened now with us is that some youngsters within our community who also ventured and started their own delivery company, they approached us to say, hey, listen, you've got a good brand. How about we team up with you so that we can help you grow the business and actually increase your footprint with the delivery. So definitely there again, through this little venture that we have right now, we've managed to create something that can start being collaborative, you know what I mean? So I think the ad was, it really touched, you know, me right now to say, Dr. Gani is just reminding all South Africans out there to say, support your own, you know what I mean? Before you open up borders and allow other international brands to start operating the site.
And I couldn't agree with you more, Komoto and Zizi, because that's exactly, you know, you've both summarized it differently. but but properly, because ultimately we all have the same agenda, and the agenda is to try and ensure that we create jobs and we sustain the jobs that we do have currently. How we do it differently, but keeping our eye on the price. And you're right, Komodo, when you say that it's a reminder that you have to take care of your own first as a people and as a country. Because if you don't, what is likely to, what must happen, what do you expect to happen rather? By the way, the buy local um, narrative is a tried and tested method worldwide. It was not created in South Africa because somebody said one day somewhere they were bored and they said, well, we are proudly South African. And then there we were. It's a tried and tested method everywhere in the world. Every country has got a responsibility to have their own buy local movement to take care of their own economy. Therefore, South Africa is no different. We also have a responsibility. We were tasked with that responsibility as proudly South Africans to educate South Africans about the importance of buying local and supporting local to ensure that we create more jobs and we sustain the jobs that we have and we avoid, unemployment. In fact, it was started by Madiba 19 years ago. Proudly South African, rather, was started by Madiba during the job summit back then. And he was fighting three challenges: unemployment, inequality, and poverty. Which are still persistent challenges that the country still, is dealing with. But that's why we were created in the first place. It's a movement that is so necessary. But we understand that it will take, all partners, all social partners to push this narrative. It takes community, it takes the business sector, it takes the private sector, the public sector as well as consumers, to be the difference that we want to make. But also, Bazizi, you touched on a very important uh, area as well, where you said we've got great products in South Africa. I mean, you're not in Hyde Park because somebody thought your product is cute, and you as the owner, you just as cute.
No, I had to
It was
fight.
not.
It took me a year. It was a
You
fight
see,
to get there.
it was a
Yeah.
fight to get there, but ultimately got there because not because somebody felt sorry for you. It was not an
No.
shame type of
No.
situation. It took you a long time to negotiate that deal, but ultimately somebody recognized the fact that if you're a good quality product
Mm-hmm.
that is deserving of that market, that can play in the domestic space, but it can also play on the international platform, which
Yeah.
is great to see. But and Komutu, you've shared with us that during lockdown, when many businesses were struggling, you made during level 4 500% generating revenue because everybody flocked to Konadla. Was I the only one who didn't drive to Soweto?
Well, I suppose so. I don't know if it's because you support Kaizer Chiefs and I'm a pirate fan that you didn't come through and support us. I'm not so sure, but I think, yeah, most of the people around Soweto and such
Yeah,
definitely did come through and support us. We really appreciative of that. It brought amount so much pressure. I think when you're not expecting such a mass people to come through and just support you, it
yeah,
was so overwhelming. But
yeah.
I think with the great team I have,
It got
we
there.
did manage to survive it. You know what I mean? Since then, look, it's been steady. I think more and more industries opened, alcohol and such. So people's priorities here and there got to change a bit. But we we remain steady, you know, and I think ultimately here, the only time as a people we ever galvanize and come together is through sporting events and stuff as a country. You know what I mean? And I think if we were to maintain that sort of I suppose essence and carry it through to buying our own local products, you know, supporting small businesses, then definitely we can always weather any storm that just comes up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. And before I continue, I just want to acknowledge Mom Tandazo, who has sent a message and says it's so inspiring to see young Black people doing the most. Keep it up, guys. And she's clapping, which is fantastic. So you are inspiring somebody out there. I'm always of the view that even if it's one person, yes, even if it's just one person, if you make a difference in just one person's life, you're okay. And talk about sport, and I'll come to you just now, Zizi, about how you managed to survive during this time. I assume, Komoto, that you didn't have to let go of any stuff.
No, not at all. Uh, Look, we're still currently a small team.
Yes.
But I think right now, looking at growth now, moving into our flagship store and the now possibilities again of scaling the business and having more branches, it will still be a bit tough to take in more people. But I think with support from social partners, etc., then definitely I think we can create more jobs that rather than let people go. But we are fortunate that we could keep all of our staff members and remain
Yeah.
fluid during that particular troubling time.
Yeah. Okay. And well, how about you, Zizi? Did you manage to? I mean, how did the business do during this time?
Well, so a huge part of our business is reliant on the hospitality industry. Need I say more? And we know that the hospitality industry has taken a huge knock. And through the pandemic, what we've tried to do as a business is make sure that our customers know that we are in support of them through this period, our lines of communication clear, making sure that we've frozen our prices, because there's no one can adjust to what we're seeing now, right, in record time, and we're all doing our best to actually do it in record time. But the reality is that every business across the board is taking a knock. We haven't had to let go of any staff, which is great. In the same way, I've always ran a very lean and mean team, is what I call it. And the temptation to increase in headcount comes and goes, right? And I think when times like these hit, that little voice and that little person on your shoulder that's been telling you, don't do it, you kind of feel good that they were there, because I think, and especially when you're in Zanzibar, right, you see so many people who are in need. You want to do as much as you can. And in and amongst, I guess, if we look at our supply chain, for us to make one product, it takes at least 100 people to make at least one product. It takes about 100 people. Sorry, Daddy, I'm on a webinar. Yeah, can you leave, please? I'm on a webinar.
It's the new normal.
It's the new normal. It's the new normal.
Oh my God!
It's the new normal.
I remember that video that was circling on social media.
No. Yes,
and that is with the child that runs in. That was my greatest fear, and not that. I think, I think in terms of, I guess, us 10 years, we've had 10 years of seeing peaks, and we've had 10 years of seeing troughs in that time. And I've been, as a business person, when you go through the highs and the lows, you eventually, Komatsu said, steady. You then realize the slow and steady actually is what wins the race. And so whenever the pressures to grow arrive, you take yourself away from that, and you realize that you actually don't need to kind of shoot higher than is necessary. There are ways to innovate. There are ways to create. That means that you don't leave your business and even the livelihoods of your team at risk. And I think over the last 10 years of running Malay, it's one of the biggest lessons. And when COVID hit, one of the early advice I got in business was, no matter what the temptation is, always keep a war chest. A war chest being enough money that if something went wrong, you have enough to keep your business going till you ride the wave. And having started in the height of the recession, and seeing peaks and troughs, in times of plenty, I got into the habit of putting enough aside that meant we can reinvest in the business, but not leave ourselves vulnerable. And so, but that would come with time. The businesses that I have so much empathy for in this climate are new businesses that haven't had the opportunity to push past that initial starting block. And it does feel like everything could possibly be you in this moment. But if anything, the ability to find creative ways to stay relevant, to innovate, to come back stronger, right? The second half is coming. And us as businesses, and even within our business partners and supply chains, this is our chance to go, like you said, into the locker room, give ourselves that pep talk, give ourselves that inspiration to go out, upskill, improve on our business models, improve on ourselves as business owners, all round, because this is the first time I would say in 10 years, I've had time to actually sit down when you're not worrying about the day-to-day being at 120%. Komatsu, for you, it was completely different, because 500% is no joke to manage. But for the first time, I had time to actually sit down and say, what over the last few years, what is our pattern? How much are we, what is our real operating costs? Where are the real drivers? How can we do more? And away from the day-to-day, but now look at, okay, how can we improve our products? How can we improve on our service? How can we improve? Because sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the roller coaster. I don't know if you found this, Komatsu, but it starts going and it almost takes, your business is a life of its own. And, it's like a wild horse and you're trying to pull it back, but it's gone. And the pandemic has helped really, especially in my business, I would say, has helped us as a team kind of take that step back, regroup, and say, when the world does open up again, when the industries that we service are back again, when we are still trying to stay alive, how do we bring the value? How do we bring it to the customer? Not just in our, but in our communication, in the resources we give them, in the value that they're getting, because they've given us so much in times of plenty. Now is our time to give back. And the creation of jobs, that will come, as Komatsu said, quite easily with the growth each of our brands gets. We will always find ways, and for each job created as business owners, and I think Komatsu will agree, you can visibly see the life changes in your staff. The impact of that job in one staff member, is trickling down generations. It's not just the staff member, it's their mothers, their grandparents, their kids, their nieces, their nephews, their partners. And you see families start to move their kids. They pride as a business owner, to see that what started off as your silly or selfish idea in your bedroom with your friends or just watching other people becomes this source of life for so many. And there's a sense of responsibility to want to keep that alive and keep that going. I know that was a really long-winded answer, sorry.
But necessary. That's fine. I know we went to Durban first, then via Limpopo, and then we came to Gauteng, which is fine. No problem. We are here now.
and with my interruption too. Sorry.
And then so there's it's very entertaining. So so you agree, Komoto, that the second half is about to begin for all of us.
No,
Honestly,
definitely.
you do.
And I think just to slightly pick up on what Zeze was saying and just echo on everything there. I mean, my other business now, which focuses on, like I said, media and production stuff. I mean, the whole year, it's just been dormant. We did, I think, 2 events in the beginning, and then it's been completely dead. So I've felt bad that, I mean, within that side, I used to try and always create opportunities for my friends who are musicians, who would help out in the production sometimes when we go hire out sound and lighting and such. So, I've just tried by all means to keep all my passion points alive, even with the pizza business. I recall when we first launched, we had to close off the street and had an orchestra outside my home here, you know what I mean, which was a first again. And looking at now opening up our flagship store again, my mind is just playing around whether we should do a big launch again and further create opportunities again. But there's this whole thing of social distancing and such, not and so it has put one very tight corner at the moment. Uh, Trying to figure out ways in which you can just keep those other guys sustainable as well. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
second half definitely is a necessity, and we do plead with South Africans to support our businesses, because like we had said, there's the ecosystem here and just the value chain around just one product and its impact on how it will just touch so many lives, with the same way as Zeze put it out there, that some of my employees, just one employee, if you think of how many family members he's helping out with at home, you know what I mean? So our growth definitely is South Africa's growth ultimately.
Yeah.
We are all
You've
connected in some way or other.
You've just touched on our reality, especially as Black folk, the Black tax issue. You just said one employee, how many other people their salary takes care of. Most of us as Black folk understand that your salary is not yours. You've got other people to take care of. And you also touched on closing comments, because you went there. Because I was going to ask you as we nearing the end of the conversation, what your message is for South Africans. And you did allude to the fact that it's important for to be supported by our very own, to keep that one person that you just mentioned in their job, and for that one person to be able to take care of of his household or her household. Many people in the household, which then begins to speak to some of our social ills, because then people don't get too desperate to go. We say in the township, by panda, in whichever form which sometimes, a lot of the times, is not humane. But the value chain is critical, is very, very important. And with that said, what would you say to people who are listening to us now, Zizi, about supporting your product and Komoto's and many other South African products?
For me, I think, it's not one to say just support local because we're local. I would like to think that as businesses, we are bringing the quality, we are bringing the efficacy, we are bringing, in Komotso's case, the taste. I would like to believe that we are competing on a level playing field. That means that when the choice is being made, we're bringing enough value that actually the consumer is drawn to our brands versus a competitor's brands. And so in my view, please, yes, support local, but also what we want to do is grow our industries. What we want to do is make sure that that benchmark isn't a pity benchmark, but it's a real benchmark that means that we are creating real sustainable value. Because it's one thing to make a pity purchase, to lifetime customer value. A business like mine survives on peak custom. A customer is only going to come back if, you know, the body scrub they use is the best body scrub they've used and it keeps them moisturized and they love the way their skin glows. But if you buy it once as a novel idea, because it's local and you don't have the quality, then I'm not doing my job properly. So my hope in the buying local message, and hopefully Komotso would agree with me, is that as businesses, our goal is to do more than just buy local, is to also make sure that we're creating the quality and value that South Africans need, because we want to be of use to our customers.
I think also just to somehow also just remind the general public to adhere to the lockdown regulations, you know, because the sooner we defeat this thing, then the more the economy can also open up. You know, when I think also of, for instance, with us and the access to market opportunity that we've managed to leverage on through Proudly SA, which one of them is the DSTV Delicious Festival. I think all of our peers there that would generally operate on the day at that particular event always look forward to that event because, I mean, it attracts so many people, you know what I mean? So that kind of event can never take place again if we can never defeat this thing, you know what I mean? So it just needs to trickle down to every person out there again to say, guys, let's just adhere to some of these things and just be responsible, because the more responsible we are, the more sustainable again, or the more we can get back to being sustainable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I guess
I think
hashtag stay home and stay safe, right?
Yeah, no, certainly. But I'm happy to have been introduced to your brand as well. Does it cater to males as well, or is it strictly
so we're
for
unisex. We don't discriminate. So it's a unisex brand. The scents are all unisex. The male grooming category is growing. So, you know, statistically, men are also investing in their skin and in their appearance more now than ever. So we cater to both male and female. Our formulations are free of, you know, including those with sensitive skin. So the idea was to be as inclusive as we possibly can.
Yeah. Okay. I just hope we can maybe one day collaborate. I don't know how that.
Oh my goodness, I don't know. Maybe we sent a cornered Ladla space, you know, like you walk in and we create a unique cornered Ladla scent.
I mean, I'd like to think, for instance, with products or you guys make use of Evo a lot, I think.
Yeah. So all our ingredients are actually food-based ingredients. Oh my God, maybe we should do a live. That would be like a really good TikTok or something. A live,
you know what I mean?
the ingredients in our scents on a pizza. How would that taste?
Yeah, so I mean, people love Evo on their pizza. So hey, who knows what could come out of that, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
This again is speaks to us as entrepreneurs that we always need to seek opportunities, you know what I mean, and try create something out of nothing. So who knows what the future then would hold for us.
Amazing, amazing. Well, yeah, Kono Dadla X Malay Pizza.
Yeah. And I mean, we're seeing it a lot lately. I mean, a lot of brands are collaborating. I won't mention some of the brands, but I've seen recently as well, a shoe brand has collaborated with an alcoholic beverage. It's like a limited edition sneaker. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
it just
nice.
goes to show that synergies are always there. It's not always about you pairing brands that are within the same industry. It's just about coming up with, unique ideas to try and just drive that message, but just push this collaborative message again. That through us collaborating, we giving also opportunity for our brands to communicate to your market and vice versa. You know what I mean? Introduce it to just different markets. So I think given
I'm
this
up for the
particular
content on I'm up for the collaborative content on what if you put the notes in a scent on a pizza? What's it gonna taste like? I'm definitely up for that. I think it will be fun. It'll definitely be a skit of some sort.
Yeah, so I think we've got Happy back here.
Yeah.
It's freezing. Can you still hear me there?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Let's plan our TikTok strategy.
No, definitely. I think we just
and you don't
we
need
just
to leave
need
your
to.
house for us.
No, certainly. As I say, I think right now we're just slightly overwhelmed, given that we're about to open up the flagship store. But I think once that's settled, I'm definitely looking at collaborating with as many people as possible.
Amazing.
Can you hear us?
All right, guys. Yes, I can hear you.
Great.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I'll let you do your thing. You took over, which was fantastic. No problem. The connectivity was dealing with me. But as proud as African, I'll tell you this. We'll find a solution of how we put you in one space and, so you can both transact with the same consumers. Because remember, Proudly South African is a lifestyle. So we can have in one room a pizza, and we can have your product busy. We can have furniture in the same room. We can have locally assembled cars in the same room. We can have clothes in the same room. So, because it's a lifestyle, that's what we sell. We sell a proudly South African lifestyle from all angles. So watch this space. We will be in the same space one day soon. We'll make it happen. When we can.
Fabulous.
We'll make it happen. Thank you
Fabulous.
so much, guys. And really, my cutting short as we conclude the discussion is that, I can only imagine that the people who are our audience here today will agree with me that, we take our hats off for hanging in there and understanding the reality that it was never going to be a walk in the park for any of you, at any given time, pandemic or not. And you've stood the test of time. I mean, you said you've been in the game for 10 years, and you've also been in the game. You stood the test of time during the worst uh, time ever, unprecedented time, which is 2020. You never, you didn't fall apart, so to speak. You are here today. If anything, when life and the reality and the pandemic gave you a gap, you kind of like, found yourself again and got up and did what you do best, and then it gave you another uppercut is my analogy, my personal analogy of what has happened. Gave you another uppercut, and you got up again, you dusted yourself off, and you pampered yourself and you went in, and then he gave you a hell of a TKO. You know, especially your other business promote the events and the what that you have not had for the last 7 months. You said the last job you had in that business was around the beginning of this year. You know, but you got up from the TKO. You read, there were times where the shops were closed during proper lockdown, and you made no sales. You made no sales. Nobody could go to
Six
your shop
months
and
to be
buy
precise.
anything. Months. But here you are. You don't look like somebody threw you under a how train, let alone a bus. And you know, you still have the energy to continue. We thank you on behalf of Saudi South African. We asking and request that you remain friends of the campaign, not only members, because you are beyond just being a member of the campaign. You know what I mean? You are friends. I carry the narrative together with us. We still committed to our relationship, to pull you in, and when life goes back to normal, to do what we do best, opening up other markets for you. Thank you
Thank you for
so
having
much
us.
for your time.
Thank you.
I feel like we need to do this again soon.
No, definitely. We open to come through.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Please tell people where they can find you, your products or and your contact details.
Okay, you can go through Zeze.
So you can find us at www.maleonline.com. So MALEE online.com. And social media simply at Male Online. So MALEE online.
Great stuff. Thank you. And Komoto?
Okay, and with us on our website, we are at www.konadladla.com. And then across on Facebook and Instagram, we are on Konadladla Pizzeria. And on Twitter, we are on Kona_Ladla. And yeah, you can also call us to order your favorite pizza on 062 484 6004.
Oh, fantastic. Those are relative Gogola because over the weekend I plan to go and see my old man, my dad,
Yes.
who's in Soweto in Oakville. So I'll just
Please,
you know,
okay.
and so thank you so much. And we at Proudly South African, you can find us everywhere on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Insta, and website, of course. And look out for our other webinars coming up. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.